Hi, I'm Heather with Goin Batty, and today I am going to show you how I make my beef bone broth. Alright, so the other day I went to our local kind of butcher, and I got these. These are beef soup bones, and so I'm going to make broth out of this. Now, I'm not quite sure what the difference between broth and stock is, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. All I know is this is what I use, like when I make beef and barley soup, when I make French onion soup, when I use it in rice. I'll use it sometimes to cook my taco meat and taco night. And when you do it with the beef bones, there is gelatin in those it's actually good for you, like it's good for your joints and stuff like that. So I have a husband who has an issue with arthritis, so that's why, one of the reasons why I make my own beef broth. The other reason is I know what goes into it. I don't have any preservatives in it. It doesn't have to be shelf stable in a carton. I will can it so that it is shelf stable. But it doesn't last more than probably a month in our house because I use it that often. As you can see, I kind of have a lot going on here right now, so I'm doing this in my crock pot. I found that this is the easiest way for me to do it because I don't have to babysit it. I can put it in here, I can walk away, and it'll be done when the time goes off. And the good thing about this crock pot that I have, and this one's several years old, but it goes, you know, to cooking 10 hours, and then it goes to a warm setting. Like, so if you put this on and you do it overnight, it won't cool all the way down. It'll still be on that warm setting when you get up in the morning, and that way you can take it out, you can strain everything out of it, and then put it in your refrigerator. So we're gonna start with our soup bones. You just put those in there. And then, now you can use like fresh carrots, fresh celery, fresh onions. That is our Thrive Life celery. I use this because it just makes it so much easier. I just throw a couple of handfuls, take that little packet out, a couple of handfuls of it in here, and then that way I'm not having to chop anything up. So it cuts down on my prep time, and that's what I like about this stuff because I am a homeschool mom, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I've got a lot of stuff around the house that I need to do, and having to prep all of this stuff, it gives me less time to do other things that I need to do. So here are the carrots, so we're gonna put some carrots in there too. So a couple handfuls of those. And this is actually probably one of my all-time most favorite products that Thrive makes. This is their onions. They're already chopped, so they're no tears. This is a no-tear thing. So I'm gonna put a couple handfuls of those in there, and they smell really good. But like I said, you could also use, like if you had fresh onions, celery, carrots, you could totally go ahead and do the same thing with it. I had this half-used bulb of garlic. I'm not gonna peel this or anything, I'm gonna throw that in there because it'll be cooking so long that will just actually just fall apart. Then I'm going to add some pepper. So I'm gonna just take it out of my pepper shaker here. Put some pepper in there. I don't put a lot of salt in mine because usually the dishes that I make this with, I will salt. So if I do put salt in it, it's just a very, very tiny bit. I'm gonna put some thyme in here, some ground thyme. All of my fresh is now done, so I don't have any more of that right now, which makes me sad. But I'm gonna put some thyme in there, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of dill in mine. We like dill in ours, so I put a little bit of dill seed in there. And then we are going to put some vinegar in it, some apple cider vinegar. That will help draw all of that goodness, all that nutrients out of the marrow of the bone. So we're gonna put probably about, I would say about 1/4 of a cup in here maybe. Just a couple of splashes. I usually don't measure it. There. So just a few splashes. And then we're gonna put our water in. So I have just regular salt from the grocery store. Now you can use salt without iodine, you can use sea salt, you can use kosher salt, whatever you like, pink Himalayan salt. Just put a little tiny bit in here because what you don't want is when you start cooking your other foods for it to be too salty. So we're gonna go ahead and just put our lid on this. All right, so now I'm gonna turn this on to the lowest setting. So mine is, I have 4, 6, 8, and 10 hours. So I'm gonna select the 10 hour, and I'm just gonna let it cook all day and overnight. So that will give me a really great broth. It will pull all of the nutrients out of the bones, and then when this is done, I'll show you the finished results. And then usually what I do with it is I either use it in a meal or I will can it. All right, so it is the next morning, and our beef stock is done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, and I've got it's a rectangle container here, and I've got a strainer in the bottom, if you can see it right here. Here's my strainer, and I've put, it's called flour sackcloth. You can get these at Walmart. They're like maybe $1 for 2 of them. You could either use that or cheesecloth. I like the flour sackcloth because it pulls it. You don't get as many flecks of things in there. So we're gonna take this and we're just gonna pour it into here. But look how the marrow has shrunk down in that. That all of the good stuff was in the center of that. So we're gonna take this. We're gonna squeeze all of those vegetables to get all that juice out. Now, if you have chickens and stuff, you can give all of this to your chickens. They'll peck at bones and all that kind of stuff. All of your cooked vegetables, it's great for them. So, but what I'm gonna actually do with this is I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator, so any fat that's on the top, once it cools down, I can just scrape off the top. All right, so it's the next day, and I went ahead and I actually made up another, I'll show you right here. I did another thing of broth, and I just put it all in the same container, so that's why there looks like there's more in there. All of those little specks on the top that you see, that's the fat, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna scrape all of that off before we go to can it. You wanna get all that out because you don't want any grease like floating or fat floating on the top of your broth. What I'm gonna do now is I've got most of like the big chunks out, but there's still a few little pieces of fat floating around in here. So I've got my bowl, I've got my strainer down in here, and I've put my flour sackcloth on top of it, and I'm actually just gonna run that through the strainer again and get the rest of that fat out of there. And then we're just gonna grab it by the corners here and pull it up. And we're gonna pull that strainer up along with it. Now there, it doesn't look like anything came through the cloth. I put the strainer in there just in case something comes through this cloth. So we got all of the rest of that fat out here. I'll move it over here so you can see it. But look how clear that is. Like what you see there, those are just bubbles. All right, so now it's done. And pretty much what you can do with this now is you can either use it, you can put it in your refrigerator and try to use it like within a week. I would give it no longer than that. But if you don't use it within a week, you can pressure can it, which is what I'm probably gonna do with this because I won't be able to use all of this in a week. So, and I do believe I already have a video where I show where I pressure can broth, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them in the comments down below. I try to answer as many questions that come at me as I can. That's it. More updates as we go. Bye.